about a month ago, just before all the internal strife over the proposed judicial reform legislation in Israel reached new heights, and before this most recent spate of terrorist attacks, the World Happiness Report released its 2023 rankings. And you may be surprised to learn that Israel ranked as the fourth happiest country in the world, behind only Finland, Denmark, and Iceland. Just to put that in context, the United States ranked at number 15, Belgium was 17, and England was 19. Despite being surrounded by countries who at best don't acknowledge its legitimacy and at worst want to wipe it off the face of the earth, despite living in constant fear of suicide bombings or rockets or, God forbid, an Iranian nuclear bomb, despite perpetual political instability and constant infighting, Israel is one of the top 5 happiest countries in the world. The way that the World Happiness Report works is that respondents are asked to evaluate their life as a whole. It's not an emotional assessment that evaluates whether or not you smiled yesterday, but rather it's an assessment of your overall happiness with your life on a scale from 1 to 10. A 1 would be a deeply unhappy life. A 10 would be an extremely happy life. In Israel, the average life in the year 2023 ranked at an 8. And yes, admittedly, the report was released before the country was turned upside down last month. But if that data were to be collected today, I don't think the results would be any different. And so the question is why? Why are Israelis able to not only tolerate their daily existence, but actually to flourish and thrive as a people? And to begin to answer that question, I want to take us back to 1949, to the year after the State of Israel was established. You know, President Truman called Ben-Gurion to congratulate him and to officially recognize Israel only 11 minutes after the state was declared. But 9 months after the state was established, England had still not yet officially recognized the State of Israel. Ernest Bevin, the British foreign minister, felt that Israel was just too controversial and that by officially recognizing the Jewish state, Britain would be alienating itself from some of its closest and most significant international allies. So in response to Bevin's reluctance to recognize Israel, Winston Churchill delivered one of his most powerful and enduring speeches to the British Parliament. And here's what Churchill said. Whether the right honorable gentleman likes it or not, the coming into being of a Jewish state in Palestine is an event in world history to be viewed not in the perspective of a generation or a century, but in the perspective of 1,000, 2,000, or even 3,000 years. This is an event in world history. Churchill was saying that the establishment of the State of Israel wasn't only a Jewish miracle. It wasn't only one of the great miracles of the 20th century. It was one of the greatest miracles in the history of humankind, maybe the single greatest miracle in the history of humankind. The kind of miracle that only happens once every 3,000 years. So whether Ernest Bevin liked it or not, Churchill felt very strongly that England had no choice but to recognize the miraculous State of Israel. And that, I think, is why Israelis are so happy. Because whether consciously or subconsciously, Israelis know that simply by living in Israel, they are taking part in one of the greatest miracles in the history of the world. Of all peoples of the ancient world, the Assyrians, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Greek, the Romans, it is only Israelis who live in the same place, speak the same language, and practice the same religion as was practiced thousands of years ago. The story of the return of the Jewish people to our ancestral homeland merely 3 years after the liberation of Auschwitz is one of the great dramas of human history. And if that's not something to be happy about, then I don't know what is. In 1967, the Anti-Defamation League commissioned Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel to write a book about explaining the Jewish passion for Israel to a Christian audience. And to fulfill that assignment, Heschel traveled to Jerusalem just weeks after the miraculous military victory of the Six-Day War. And the book he wrote as a result of that trip, called Israel, An Echo of Eternity, is a beautiful, poetic, and deeply moving tribute to both the land and the state of Israel. As Heschel writes, the return to the land is a profound indication of the possibility of redemption for all humanity. Stand and behold, the unbelievable has come about. What is the meaning of the state of Israel? Its sheer being is the message. Non-participation in the drama is a source of embarrassment. This coming week, we will be celebrating the 75th anniversary of the establishment of the State of Israel. And I want to acknowledge that we are in the midst of an extremely difficult moment for Israel and for all of us. Tension with the Palestinians is ratcheting up. Terror attacks are becoming a near daily occurrence, and the country continues to teeter on the brink of civil war. Yet despite all of that, Heschel's words continue to resonate. We are living less than a century after the reestablishment of a Jewish state in the Jewish homeland following 2 millennia of exile, which means that we are among the luckiest Jews in history. As Heschel so eloquently put it, the sheer existence of the state of Israel is the message of Israel. And we all have an obligation to actively participate in the drama of the miracle. In that spirit, I want to invite all of you to celebrate Israel with us this coming week in Livingston. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., please join us at Livingston Town Hall as we raise the Israeli flag and sing Hatikvah together. And on Wednesday, Yom HaAtzmaut itself, Israel's 75th birthday, please join us for a big birthday celebration for Israel at the Livingston Community Center from 4:30 to 7:30. There will be Israeli food and games and all kinds of different activities for kids. And kol hakavod to Marla Parnes and Mel Jacobs and Barry Schwartz and everyone else on the Livingston Celebrates Israel committee who has put so much time and energy into making both tomorrow's event and Wednesday's event such a success. And stay tuned for information about our own TBS celebration of Israel, which will be happening on June 8th. As well as the TBS Israel trip that Leah Becker and I will be leading in February. We would love for all of you to join us on that trip to fulfill Heschel's mandate to be active participants in the drama of the miracle. In the end, of course, Winston Churchill prevailed. England officially recognized Israel on May 13th, 1949, one day before the first anniversary of the establishment of the state. And when they did, Chaim Weizmann, Israel's first president, sent Winston Churchill a telegraph expressing his gratitude for Churchill's support. And Churchill sent a telegraph back to Weizmann containing only 3 words: "The light grows." As the state of Israel turns 75 this week, may the light only continue to grow for Israel and for all of us. Amen.